Hello, everybody. On this episode, we have AJ Mast, and he comes on to tell a story of multiple events that happened within about 3 years of each other. And I was only expecting one major event that is highlighted throughout most of the podcast. The resilience I seen, which is one of these words that's really coming to surface right now with me and learning from all these people and these stories. AJ really shows a lot of that throughout this. And without giving away too much, enjoy. All right, good evening, everybody. It's Kelby. I'm here with Uke, as usual, and we've got our guest tonight is AJ Mast. How you doing, AJ?
Good.
Good. It's been a while.
It has.
mean, shoot, when's the last time we seen each other? Was that softball?
It would have been softball.
2008, 9. Because you're a year older than me, so
Yeah.
we played the summers.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my dad tonight about it. I don't know if you remember, but we played on that team with my dad, and he slid into second base head first, and one hopper out of the outfield, and he slid head first, and it hit him right in the head off the one hop. And I'm pretty sure it was you that said, "Is he dead?" Like, because he did not move. It got hit his head, and he went straight to the dirt. And all you hear is AJ go, "Is he dead?"
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I remember of you. But, I mean, we had some good times playing.
We did.
Softball and stuff with Andy and all them, so. But yeah, man. So you're married, have one kid, 2-year-old?
Yep. 2-year-old, nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Oh yeah. You said it was a girl or a boy?
Boy.
Okay. Oh yeah, boys. That's good to get it out of the way first, but they're the craziest.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like.
Wait till the girl comes.
Just tonight before we leave, he's just wrestling,
Yeah.
throwing toys, tickling his mom. Just rambunctious as can be, jumping on the bed. But it's good. It's fun. It makes you smile.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I mean, you've been in the area since basically your whole life, right?
Yeah. So obviously went to college, went to Ball State, dropped out, decided this wasn't for me, packed up, moved to Florida, went to school down there for a year, spent a year in Orlando to be a boat mechanic.
Okay.
Moved back home, worked at a local marina, and then 7 years ago, my dad and I purchased the boathouse at Grand Lake and opened that up.
And that's the one across from Breakaway or Racket Club or whatever you want to call it anymore?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome, man. So, without giving too much into it, I'll just let you go ahead and tell the story because I've heard bits and pieces of it, but I want to hear. I'm excited to hear from you.
2 years ago, we had a huge rain, and the spillway's overfilling with water that night. And, down where the boathouse is, it's down in that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all known that the Breakaway flooded years ago. What was that, 2010, I believe, or something?
Yeah.
And my dad and I are there that night, and we're looking around, and we're going, you think it's going to get in the building? Sure enough, it gets in the building. We get 4 inches of water in the building. And I was actually fishing the Crappie USA tournament, and I don't know it's flooding at this time. And the place is flooding. I'm calling my dad because I'm out on the lake. And anyway, we're scrambling to get boats set, or they are, and we get through the first flood. And you think, okay, this is going to be cake. Nothing's going to happen again, Well, I was always told bad things come in threes. I'm sure we've all heard that at times.
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Day comes, same year. My wife and I lose our house in the Memorial Day tornado.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you take that on top of it. Now, granted, the flood was minor, 4 inches of water in the building. It's a business, it's a shop at the end of the day. So what do I lose? Some parts, some tools.
Yeah.
Nothing major.
Yeah.
Some paperwork here that got wet. But when you lose your house, you lose that sense of security.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
And then you get through that, So, you figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? I got to figure out where I'm going to live, because I don't have a place to go. So you move it back in with your parents. I'm 30 years old, move back in with my parents. Last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom and Dad.
Right.
But I have a 2-month-old at the time. You go back even, so the first flood happens in April. In February, my wife and I had our first child. So you have that biggest positive moment as a parent and as a human being to bring life into the world. And 2 months later, your business floods. Okay, minor, right? Then you lose your house. And a month later after that, your business floods again.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit there and you go, okay, there's my 3, right? There's my 3 bad things. And I had a gentleman during the flood and the tornado, he told me this. He said, how you doing? I said, I'm all right, because nobody really ever asks you, how are you? And expects the truth, right?
Yeah.
Because as a society, we hold a lot of that in, and it's always that, hey, I'm good. Because nobody honestly care if you're good or not.
Yeah. Especially as men, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, we're supposed to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I had a gentleman tell me, he said, if you take every life event and you take it as a coin and you throw it into a bucket, and as your years in life go on, your flood, you'll pick out that coin because every time you pick it up, it's dripping wet. You'll pick out the tornado coin because it's beaten, it's bent, it's chipped. You'll pick out the coin for your first kid because it's the shiniest one or something along those lines. I had never thought of life events in that aspect. Mm-hmm. And, the little things you hear from some old timers, that kind of, okay, makes sense. Keep moving forward.
Been through the gauntlet.
Yeah.
They've seen things.
So we go through the whole process of rebuilding our home. The floods are past me. It's done. The flood's a flood. I mean, not to say anything, positive or negative. Floods are easy now. Like I've got those down.
Yeah.
To some extent, I don't want another one, but
right.
you get through the tornado and the process of rebuilding. So, my wife and I relocate to a small little cottage on the south side of the lake, raising our newborn. We had a roof over our head. I can't complain. We move in. And 2 months after we move in, I get diagnosed with leukemia.
Jeez.
And so you wonder at times, where does it come from? Why me? You can ask that question. Why me? You're never going to have the answer. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I learned throughout this process, and there's so much more to add to it also, but I was sitting in my hospital bed, and the doctors came in, and the one doctor said, he goes, we're kind of worried about you. So with my type of leukemia, it's one of the rarest forms. And when you go into treatment, if your body rejects it, you go into what's called Differentiation Syndrome. So your white count goes through the roof, and your body can start to clot out, basically, which is the deadly portion of your body rejecting the treatment. And so I went into Differentiation Syndrome. They cancel your treatment. They put you on another drug to try and get your white count to come down. And the one doctor comes in. He's like, we're just not sure if he mentally has it. And they're like, do you want to talk to somebody? I said, listen, if it'll make you happy, I'll talk to somebody. I kind of want to be left alone right now. So a 32-year-old or 31-year-old at the time, because I was 31 too, 31-year-old named AJ walks in the room and starts talking to me, and I'm like, this is ironic. And I just told him my life story, what I just told you guys. And he looked at me and he says, we don't make medication for that. And I hit it off with this guy. I start laughing. We have a conversation. He leaves the room and he tells the doctors he's fine. He's mentally good. Just understand where the guy's coming from. Mm-hmm. And to go back to, what your guys' message is in something that I've learned is, and I think sports plays a lot in it too, even though I don't play sports anymore, but never give up. And if I'm going to roll over on this, what good am I to my kid, to my wife, to my parents? I've met a lot of interesting people throughout this journey also that have it way worse than I do. And if they can push, why can't I?
Yeah, that's powerful.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned is you don't ever think it's going to happen to you. You don't think, you're going to break your arm. You don't think that's going to happen that day, but we don't know what's going to happen when we get up every day. The man upstairs has a plan for us that we think we know what we want to do, but we don't. And the biggest thing I learned from it was put your head down, still reach for your goals no matter what happens. And I joke about it at times, you can laugh about it now a little bit, but it is a serious thing. But at the same token, what am I going to do? Am I going to roll over? Because where does that get me?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken from the whole process is why give up?
Yeah. That's powerful stuff. Like I'm going back to, I was just having you here to listen to this story that I've been hearing bits and pieces of you having cancer. That's what I've got, but I wasn't going to ask questions or try to get a story from someone else. I wanted to hear it from you.
Yeah.
But on top of that, to hear that you had this flood, multiple floods, and then you lost your house. Like that's another, we need to have another stinking episode for that. Like, that's crazy. So, before we started this, I asked you, so is it gone?
So technically I'm in remission. So they require you to go to the hospital for 28 days with my type of leukemia. Mm-hmm. You're required to stay there. They require 28 days of treatment. I went into Differentiation Syndrome for 5 days. They add 5 days because of my treatment. So I go to 33 days. After that, I do what they call, I don't know the exact name, but it's 4 months of treatment and 4 months off of treatment. So I get treatment every day for 4 weeks straight, and then I get 4 weeks off. So I actually just finished my 3rd round yesterday.
Okay.
So I have these next 4 weeks off, and then I get 4 more weeks of treatment. And then I have my bone marrow biopsy at the end of August, and as long as that comes back clean, then I'm cancer-free.
That's awesome.
So, and then 90% chance it never comes back. So basically, it's what they kind of said. It's a complete fluke, and they don't know why. They don't know what causes it.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
That's crazy. So throughout this whole process, how's the wife been?
My wife has been amazing,
That's awesome.
She became a single parent overnight. I say that in all honesty because I had to go live in a hospital. She has, at the time he was, gosh, I'm going to get the month wrong, 16 months. I don't know. I'm a terrible dad when it comes to age. Yeah. But she became a single parent overnight. I'm not there anymore. We got the phone call from my doctor that said, you need to go to Ohio State and you need to get there now. I leave. I said goodbye to my kid for what I thought was the last time. If you want to get a little heavy, I remember telling my wife, I don't want to be a picture on his wall because I didn't know what I was going to get into, I don't think – I grew up with a dad, and I know some people who didn't, but I know how influential my dad was in my life. I couldn't imagine not having him. And I know people that haven't had their dad or haven't had their mom, and that's hard. But she stepped up to the plate. She's the best mom I know besides my mom. I got to say that.
Yeah.
No offense to my wife. But, no, she's absolutely amazing. And if it wasn't for her, it would have been a lot harder than what it is now. She has held it together, the family together. She was able to do the mom stuff and help me through missing my kid, the FaceTimes, making sure I got to see him and talk to him and show me pictures of him when I don't get to see that because the hospital wouldn't let him come. Mm. So,
wow.
Because COVID went rampant when I was in the hospital, so I lost visitors for the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I saw my wife maybe 4 days.
Man.
And that was 5 hours at a time because it was only 5 hours you could have a visitor.
Wow.
So I learned what boredom was. But you also learn how valuable other things are.
Yeah.
I remember talking to my wife at times, we would argue at times over something stupid. And you look back at it now and go, for what? I think that's the other little things you learn when big things hit you in life. Mm-hmm. Materialistic things too. Go back to the tornado. We lost, 30% of our personal property. Mm-hmm. Now, we were able to save most of our stuff. Yes. Again, fortunate versus some other people. But but you still lose important things.
Yeah.
So, but you learn at times what's important, what's not. You know, is that picture that important?
Yeah.
Or was it the fact that we're all safe and we're all here?
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's, like I said, another story, because I was going to have someone on that actually had their house burned down. I mean, similar stuff, kind of concept. Your house is gone. So, I mean, all these events, do you feel like this is something that was meant to happen to you? Did you need it in your life?
I mean, I think everybody would say no. I mean, just because you don't want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But does it shape and mold you? Yes.
Okay.
Did it change my perspective for life for the better? For the most part, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I will be completely honest and say at times, you know, you look up, you may be laying in bed and look up at the big dog upstairs and say, why? Why me?
Yeah. So were there any moments just like you just wanted to throw a towel and just be like,
there was times,
so much, this is too much on me?
The day of the tornado, I mean, I took a 4-foot level and it's now in like 6 different 90 degrees. You know, I just beat it against the house, you know, because at times it was just overwhelming to be taking all your stuff and throwing it into a box. Mm-hmm. You also look back at, you know, during the process of being in the hospital and coming home and then adjusting to coming home just in itself. You know, I can't go outside because COVID's so rampant. I have no immune system at the time, you know, all that. And I've always said, again, you ask, why me? Why me? But then you also hear, God doesn't put anything on your plate that you can't handle. And that's something that stuck with me from since I was younger.
Yeah, I've got that too.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the most religious person in the world or anything like that, but I will say there are messages, you know, from going to Sunday school as a little kid when mom and dad forced you to put your khakis on and your dress shoes and you threw a fit to go to school or to go to church that have stuck with you. And again, I have lived my life to the point that the man upstairs is always testing me for something, and he's not going to put anything on my plate that I can't handle. Mm-hmm. And I feel that through that, you can move forward, knowing that at the end of the day, he's still got your back. I may not call on him as much as I should, but he's got my back.
For sure. That's awesome. So I know I'm pretty familiar with your dad, Mr. Mast, as he used to be known for me. How have they been taking this?
You know, supportive.
Yeah.
More than anything. I know my dad was quite a wreck when he got the news.
Sure.
But what parent wouldn't?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have kids.
Yes.
Wouldn't you be devastated?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you know, I always grew up with my dad, and like my dad has said, you know, for years that no parent should ever have to bury their own kid. And it happens, you know. But I think we all can agree to that
definitely.
Should be part of life, you know. Yeah. As a kid, you don't want to bury your parent either, but that's the norm.
Yeah, that's my two fears, like burying one of my kids or being buried before they're out of the house.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't set well with me.
Yeah. And you know, as you grow older and you get kids, your perspectives change, you know.
Yeah.
Compared to, you know, 10 years ago when I was 22.
You take a step back.
Now I'm 32. My life has changed big time, you know.
Sure,
and my priorities have too. And I think that's the other thing. Maturity plays a role in it all.
Definitely.
If I was 22 years old, would I handled it the same way I handled all this the same way I have now? No. I wouldn't have been ready for it. I mentally don't know if I could have handled it.
Wow.
You know?
That was one of my questions. I mean, do you think others could handle this situation? I mean, we'll focus on the one situation you're going through currently, but that's your 22-year-old self going through this situation. You're saying there's probably no way.
It would have been harder.
Yeah.
You would have leaned on more support.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that some people, you know, even with my story is if you're in a situation, you have to talk to somebody. You have to reach out, whether you're comfortable to or not. There's always somebody willing to listen.
Definitely.
You know, it's just hard because a lot of people don't want to bring up their personal stuff. You know, again, like I said earlier, how many people want to hear it? Mm-hmm. We walk by and we say, hey, how are you? Good. Do you care who says good? Or are you just expecting the response?
That's something I think about all the time. And doing this and reaching out to you or some of these people, asking them, hey, can we get your story out there? I've been honestly surprised how reluctant and like people are just like, yes, please, yes, I want to. I mean,
Yeah.
you were all about it. I've got someone coming up on Thursday that's been all about it who just lost their father from COVID. I mean, what was that, a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to get this story out.
And I think the big thing, too, for everybody is it's not that they want the spotlight to shine on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what this is for me at all. It's yes, if my story can help somebody else mentally get through something, I'm here for anybody that wants to listen, you know, or if you need somebody to talk to, it's who we are as humans, you know, but a lot of people want to hold that in. A lot of people don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. It's a scary feeling to somebody to talk to a stranger about something.
Oh, yeah. And it just takes you down
It does,
quick.
you know.
And that's why I'm here. This is why I'm doing this, because, I mean, I don't know of anything yet that's doing something similar. I know there's people out there that help and motivate you and let me help you build a business or help you get fit or anything like that. But I want to take a step back and get the stories out there that need to be heard. I mean, you hear some stories like this, but I want to hear the authenticity of it. I mean, it's powerful stuff. And just to, like you said, if I can help one person, I mean, get out of a dark, dark place, because they may not have the support system or they may not be willing to talk about it like you are, then that's a win.
Yeah.
So,
You know, and again, they may not have family. They may not have the friends. You know, some people go through this life with nobody.
mm-hmm.
You know, and it's sad that that's the case. But again, I'll go back. You know, there was days I sat in a hospital room by myself. The only people that talk to me are the nurses. You know, and once you leave, you have no contact with them again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to some degree, the nurses, after I lost my visitors, are what helped me so much because I had human contact.
Yeah.
I had somebody to talk to. Whether it was a worthless conversation that meant
Right.
nothing, you know, it was meaningless. We talked about, you know, we'd laugh about this or we'd laugh about that.
Yeah.
And now it's that conversation that you can have. You know, you can talk to somebody and they're willing to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So have you been going to the same place for these treatments and stuff?
So obviously I spent 30 days in the James at Ohio State. I joke now that I'm kind of forced to become a Buckeye fan,
Oh, I forgot about that.
you know, because I've now spent so much time there.
I mean, let's be honest. It's a good time to switch, right?
Exactly. But now I do 3 days here in Salina and I do 2 days in Lima,
Okay.
locally. So I am able to do it locally, which is great. You know, I have that ability to
Yeah.
not have to drive to Ohio State
For sure.
every day.
2 hours compared to what, 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Or Salina, right home.
Yeah.
So is there any special limitations in anything you have right now? Being like I know you said earlier you couldn't go outside basically.
So that was when I first got out of the hospital. Basically, they just kill your immune system.
Yeah.
They knock your blood counts down so low. Now my numbers are back up. I have an immune system that's comparative to you guys.
Okay.
Normal, healthy 32-year-old male. So it's just one of those things now. It's just get through it and, you know, again, like put your head down and drive through.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can we go back? Can you describe the diagnosis? Like what led to that happening? I mean, I guess you finding out or
So we,
warning signs, whatever.
And before, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to let you know some of the things that I heard. So I've heard you woke up feeling super tired one day randomly, and you woke up with bruises everywhere. So I want to clear that up and see if you can confirm that.
So we were with my sister and her husband, now Garrett, and we decided to go out to the pub and we're going to have steaks with Garrett's family and my family.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife is with me with our little one, and everybody was at the table and they're kind of like, "You're kind of grumpy," and I was like, "I'm just tired."
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while to get our steaks, and it was just, you know, dragging on. We get home, and I woke up that morning, and I felt like an 80-year-old man. Like, I looked over at my wife, and I was like, I can't get out of bed. I can go to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's like, "You need to get in the shower. You know, you're going to be late. You're going to be late." And I was like, well, I'm not getting in the shower because I can't get out of bed. So I get up, I get dressed, I get my butt to work, skip a shower. Sorry, everybody. I get to work, and my mom's there, and I was like, listen, I'm not doing anything today. I'm tired. I don't care. You can fire me on the spot, whatever. La-di-da-da.
So was this a different tired that you've ever compared to what you've ever felt?
It just didn't feel right. Like I literally felt like an 80-year-old man. Like I couldn't get out of bed.
Wow.
I'm 31 years old.
And was this during COVID?
Yeah.
So okay, go ahead.
I mean, I didn't even think it was COVID. I had no head cold. Really? I had nothing. I just woke up sore. But we were in the middle of our busy season. So when we're winterizing boats, so you're in and out of boats, you're standing on your head, you're upside down. I figured, maybe my body's just telling me, like, you're tired.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finished work. It was a short day. It was like 4 hours. I go home, and it's been colder out, so I haven't really been wearing shorts. I put shorts on. And I look down at my legs, and I got bruises all over my legs.
Wow.
And I was like, nah. It's probably just from crawling in and out of boats. No big deal. And my wife coaches club volleyball. And she had tryouts on Sunday the next day. So she goes to tryouts. And my sister comes over, and my mom, and I'm like, hey, can you watch Steele for a little bit? I need to go lay down. I just don't feel right. I'm tired. So I go get in the shower, and it takes me about an hour to take a shower. It's not normal for me. And they go home, whatnot. I'm like, I'm just going to call in work on Monday. I still didn't feel right. And my wife gets home Monday, and I cough. I have a bloody nose for 3 hours. That's not normal. So I look at my wife, and I'm like, something's not right. She's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. So I go in the bathroom, and I take a plastic comb, and I smack my arm. And it bruises within like 10 minutes. And I'm like, something's not right.
Wow.
So I was like, I better call the doc. So I wake up in the morning. I call the doctor. They get me in. He's like, I don't think it's anything. Maybe your iron's low. But I'm going to run you over to cold water, get your blood work anyway, just in case. We'll check it. Wednesday morning, about 7:30, I get a phone call that says, hey, you want to come in at like 10:30 and talk? We got your blood results. And I was like, that's probably not good, when they want you to come in. Mm-hmm. And then obviously at 10:30 I went in, and he tells me I have leukemia. And that moment you're sitting there, your heart sinks, because I didn't know what leukemia was. I'll be honest. I didn't know. I had no idea what it was. I've heard the name.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was. So that's everything that I had that led up to that moment in time. And I joke, I WebMD'd it, and I always yell at my wife for WebMDing anything, because it's always the worst.
Joke, yeah, everything turns to cancer.
And I WebMD'd it, and I was like, okay, it's not that. Like, that's what I said in my head. I joke about it to this day. I was like, it's not that. It's not leukemia. It can't be. WebMD's not right.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it was right that time.
Wow. Wow.
But again, I look back at it now, and with my outcome, I can laugh.
Yeah.
And I think you have to laugh at some point in time. The one doctor told me it's the rarest form of leukemia you can get. Don't ask me to pronounce the name because I don't know how. It's APL.
Sounds good.
It's the rarest form, but it's the form you want to get if you get leukemia. It's the most curable and it's the most treatable.
Okay.
What'd she tell me? 3.8 million people in the U.S., and my numbers may be off, get leukemia a year. 2,500 get the kind I got.
Wow.
So, but it's the one you want.
I
guess if you're, they just said you're going to go through a year of a rough treatment, because it is a rough treatment. But at the end of the day, you have that positive outcome. Does that help? Yeah.
So, as a rough treatment, how's that been?
It's not bad. More fatigue than anything.
Okay.
And then just obviously losing half a day all the time. The treatment takes about 2.5 hours to 3 hours, but when you get pounded every day with it, it does take its toll by the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your weekend, 2 days, and you kind of go back to normal. And then by Thursday, I start to feel it again.
Yeah.
And I just start to feel tired. And symptoms are different for everybody. My eye waters a lot, which is just super annoying. Not that it's bad. The biggest complaint they have with this type is just headaches.
Yeah.
You get a headache that's almost unbearable.
Wow.
But again, if that's the worst out of it, I look at that and I'm like, I can put up with that. And I guess that's the kind of thing that I've just taken from everything. If you take the whole story and you say, okay, there's a lot of bad there. And you can focus on the bad, or you can focus on the positive out of it. You know, I lost my house. I got a brand new one. Did it cost me a little bit extra money? Yeah, but I got a brand new house. Did I go through hell to get to it? To some people, maybe, yeah. Is it something I wanted? No. I was content with the house I had. But that's where I always say, find the outcome, because if you're only going to look at the negative, then that's all you're ever going to get out of life.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
There's a positive in every situation, whether there
really is.
It's sometimes it's just so hard to find, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you need the help to find it.
Exactly.
So, going back to getting the diagnosis, who was the first person that you were able to tell?
I hid it from my wife. I told my mom first.
Okay.
I'll be honest, 100%. I'm a mama's boy. Have been since I was a little kid. I told my mom first. I drove straight to work, and I gave my mom a hug, and I told her I had leukemia. And my dad wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Those were the first two people I wanted to tell. And then I called. I didn't tell my wife because she was at home with our little one at the time, and I didn't feel it appropriate to tell my wife on the phone that I have leukemia.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell her in person. So that's one of the reasons why she was one of the later ones to find out. And I also was scared. I was scared to tell my wife.
Yeah, you didn't know.
How do you put that on somebody, that you're with? I think it's easier. All of us would say it's easier to tell our parents.
Yeah.
Than to some degree than maybe your wife.
Because they got to fight the battle too.
Yeah.
Right with you.
Yeah. I joke to this day, I've asked my wife's parents if they're done with me yet. I put her through 2 floods, a tornado, and now cancer. And they laugh. But that's when you found a good one, and her family's been there the same way my family has been. They've been
awesome.
They've been with me every step of the way. They've supported me. So even that, not only my family, but her family also, that support system has been huge, And that's, again, you go back to sometimes somebody needs to be there for you.
Oh, for sure.
Or somebody needs to listen.
Yep.
I mean, I tell everybody, it's you're probably going to hear it every episode, is you cannot do life without people. I mean, you cannot. You can't do, personally, you can't do life without God. But to sometimes that you don't really have full faith in that. Sometimes it'll dwindles. Mm-hmm. So having physical beings next to you, holding you up too, and picking you up off the ground, that's everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I told you guys before, I mean, I don't nearly go to church as much as I should. Do I have faith? Yes. Does faith get you through a lot of stuff? Yeah. The way I believe in God is different than the way other people believe in God. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, he's not going to put too much on your plate that you can't handle. And as long as you walk with him, he'll walk with you. That's kind of how I've judged it. And for some reason, and I've talked to my mom about it too, and he's testing me for something. That's another way to look at it. Why is he putting so much on your plate? Whether it's you or somebody you don't know, why is he putting so much on your plate? Because he's testing you. He wants to see if you can crack, if you're going to crack. Whether it's good or bad, he wants to see if you can take it. Can you handle the success that you're going to have? Or, do you really want that job? Well, I might test you over here in a special way. We don't know the way he works. That's where there's always that God works in mysterious ways. We've heard that for our whole lives.
Oh, yeah.
So much of that, even I can sit here and say that, like I said, I'm probably not as faithful as I should be, but I have enough faith to know, where I'm going and to have faith in him. I think that helps too at the end of the day.
It's awesome to hear. You got anything right now? These events, this one particular, do you think this could get you about through anything now that you face? Do you think this is your final test? Do you think you got more coming?
I'm sure I've got more coming. I've always said too, like if you set goals, make sure your goals are, I want to put this in the best way possible, not obtainable.
Yeah.
Always set your goal for one rung higher than where you want to go. So when you get to that rung that you think is your goal, you're not there yet. You got to go one more rung on a ladder. always set that goal one more higher, one rung higher. Because once you achieve your goal, what have you done?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be content the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Whether that is anything, always set your goal one rung higher.
That's pretty similar to the Matthew McConaughey. I'm sure you've seen it. Just who's your hero?
Exactly.
10 years from now.
Yeah.
When that 10 years hit, who's your hero? Is you hero yet? No, it's 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So I love that. What's been the most rewarding thing? You kind of hit it earlier. Tough question.
It is. Probably the support you see from your family and friends. I mean, that is huge. The reward that you get from the love.
Mm-hmm.
But also, to some degree, when you get that news and you don't know the outcome at the time, is not that I got another chance, but I have an opportunity to change my mentality and change my perspective on who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I think we all sit back and say, "Oh, I'm a good person," right? Until you get put in a situation where maybe you're not, or something along those lines, or you learn little things don't matter now. And I think that's the biggest thing I got from it. Little things don't matter now that maybe bothered me before.
Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff.
So it changes your perspective. And to me, I think it changed it for the better. Would I have been upset that my tire blew, driving over here?
No, I got leukemia. Basically, is what you
3 years ago. Yeah, I would have been
Yeah.
irritated. Mad. Why now?
Yeah.
Tire can be fixed. Little things like that. And the other most rewarding thing is just obviously I have a positive outcome that it's going to go away. It's not supposed to come back, and I get to spend the rest of my life, hopefully, knock on wood, with my family.
Yeah,
that's obviously the number one rewarding thing.
definitely.
But underlying things, there's those too. It's a tough question.
Yeah, for sure.
Put me on the spot on that one.
Just let me know down the road because there's going to be things that come up. You're going to be like, oh, now that I got an answer for that question
exactly.
now. So, yeah, man, that's awesome. The biggest thing, I think you've kind of said this, what have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about others? I guess we could ask that. Family, friends.
How willing other people are to help.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to not asking.
Mm-hmm.
Our society, we've become so, I don't want to say self-centered, but so blinded. Put blinders on. I'm going to worry about my life. Whereas we have a tendency to not take those blinders off and look across the street at the neighbor. Yep. And what the neighbor needs. Is the neighbor an old lady that needs somebody to go get her groceries? Needs help carrying her groceries in. Whereas now, because my wife and I needed help at the beginning, we had outpouring of support, groceries, food, meals brought to our house at the time when, stuff like that goes on. And it's just, again, it goes back to that. Why do we have to help in times of need? And why can't we help in times of all, so to speak?
100% agree.
And I think that's another thing, like, go to the tornado. We got all the help in the world.
Yeah.
And so did all the neighbors.
Yeah.
Everybody. I had 40 people in my yard cleaning sticks up. But people were there because people needed help.
Why are we being reactive?
Yeah.
Not proactive.
Exactly. That's something,
a good point.
That's something I learned from all these processes.
Yeah.
Or all these events is take the blinders off. There's a lot more people that need help. Whether that's your local softball team or your local Pee Wee football team. Do they need jerseys?
Yeah.
Or something like that. You can be proactive in another way that helps in some sort of way to some kid or somebody, So there's that I've taken from it too.
I love that. And the moments we're going through right now kind of sucks. Doesn't help with that, but that's something we need to work towards.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of the reason I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So,
whether it's, and you can do so much with it where, get off a side point just to blabber and talk, there's so many fundraisers out there to help people, that you can start up on your own. There's so many things that people are willing to help for, but if they don't know how to help, they're not going to. That's something that I've learned, and I've had more support from local people, and local organizations or whatnot that have supported me and helped me and my family. And because of that, I've learned you got to give back too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you look forward and you say, okay, if so many of these people that I don't know are willing to help me, why can't I help people that I don't know?
Yeah.
Or even if you do know them, there's nothing wrong with knowing them or not knowing them, but why can't I reach out and help too?
Yeah.
And that's something that obviously with your guys' message and what you want to do is easy to obtain. I mean, there's so much out there and there's so many people that need help. We just have to open our eyes sometimes and see it.
For sure. That's a very powerful message. I mean, I love that. That's awesome. What advice or lessons or anything can you give to someone that's going through something similar right now?
Obviously, keep your head up. It's hard. Push forward. I mean, I would take it back to, I don't want to go to the glory days or anything, but there's a sports message in everything. I think if you played sports as a kid, and that is, work hard, don't give up. I do think that plays a role in some aspects of life as an adult. But, again, put your head down, grind through it. It's going to be hard. We all know life's hard without obstacles in your way.
Mm-hmm.
But put your head down, grind through it, get through it, but don't be afraid to ask for help along the way, because there's a million people willing to stand by you and pick you up and help you through it.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to drag you through the mud to get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
You just got to sometimes reach up and ask. And I think that's the hardest part, is asking for help, because nobody wants to.
Yeah. That's definitely, I mean, just like we said, more people, I mean, nothing wrong with being reactive at all. You have the people there, but some of these things we can't avoid and be proactive to prevent it, but we can definitely let people know that we're out there, and if they need help, that's being proactive right there, letting them know, hey, I'm here for you.
Yep. And
that's what you're doing here. That's what we're trying to do. So, I mean, just letting them know that's being proactive, raising awareness, so we don't have to be reactive all the time. We can maybe stop this while we get maybe too far ahead. So, yeah. You got anything right now?
No, I mean, at first, your message is powerful. I mean, don't ever think that you don't have something special, because you do. You really do. Kudos to you for the outlook that you had. I mean, I can't imagine what that was. I've never gone through it. Hopefully I don't ever have to.
Yeah, I hope you don't either. I mean, I hope nobody goes through it. Truly, I do.
Yeah.
I hope that no one has to go through that. But so many people are going to, and that's the hard part.
And it's true. Yeah, absolutely.
What was that number again? I mean, was it 3.8 million a year?
That get leukemia.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So, and you just think about that. That's just one type of cancer. You just lump that under leukemia. Now, there's different forms of leukemia, but that's one type.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big weight that gets put on your shoulders when you hear that. And like I said, I personally said goodbye to my wife and kid that day. I didn't know.
I can't imagine.
You don't know.
No.
And, you sit in that hospital by yourself because COVID was all going on at the time. And I sat in the emergency room for 5 hours by myself.
With that on your mind, I mean,
not knowing anything.
Yeah. So that's I commend you on.
And my phone died, so I can't even. I got no social media right there. I got no social media. I got no games. I got nothing, man.
Wow.
So, but yeah, again, it's that to go back to it, and I hate to drive it, home, but it's that never give up, push forward. Nothing's on your plate that you can't handle. You know, there's a reason for everything that happens in your life, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's how we handle that.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the opportunities given?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's and that's going to that leads to the final question, unless you got something to add in there or anything. I mean, it's called Fire Through Fog. So FIRE. I broke it down in an acronym. Fitness and health, intelligence, resilience, and efficiency. To you, what would building the biggest fire to you? Maybe what you've learned through this. What has helped you, and what could help others get through a foggy time like this, or any foggy time in their life? What is something you could do with your fitness, your intelligence, I guess the knowledge, your resilience? I mean, resilience to me is one of the biggest things. I mean, and to me, you have some of the biggest resilience I've ever heard of. So, and then the efficiency.
Resilience, I think, comes in a form of character. Everybody's resiliency is different. Some people are aggressive with it. Other people are passive with it. When it comes to all of it, gosh, that's a good question.
I like where you're going with the passive and aggressive resilience, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think, again, I think that's just a mentality. When it comes to, the fitness part of things,
I guess I could ask, for fitness and health, is there anything that you've had to do for that? Have you had to change your diet up or anything?
I had to, I couldn't eat a lot of fresh fruits, like strawberries.
Really?
Lettuce, because it carries a lot of bacteria. My immune system was depleted at the time.
Makes sense.
Basically, they told me eat a pregnant woman's diet. So, like, no cold meat, no fresh fruits, stuff like that, because of the bacteria that can live in that, especially like strawberries, the pores, blueberries, raspberries, stuff like that. There's bacteria that can live in that. So if you eat that, I can get sick a lot quicker earlier on in my diagnosis. So there's that, you have to change your diet, which for me was not a bad thing. It means more pizza and cheeseburgers.
That's what I was about to say. A pregnant woman's diet, they get to have whatever they want, right?
So I got a lot more pizza and cheeseburgers. But no, and I think I like the question. It's tough, because I think there's so much that goes into it. And I think a lot of it is based on how a person's demeanor is. But at the same token, you have to want what's best for you. Obviously, if you break down the intelligence part of it, study it. So I had a lot of nurses at the time that were helping me when it was time to get out. Like, okay, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be taking your temperature every single day, multiple times. You need to be, checking I had a PICC line. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with PICC line, but basically I had it's a catheter that goes into my heart. Okay. And it has 2 lines that stick out of my arm. I had to watch that so it doesn't get infected. So there was a lot of that comes with, okay, I got to learn a lot of home health care real quick. That don't ask me to do that. Yeah. So in given your circumstance, I think your intelligence changes on the circumstance. So, if you're in a tornado, your intelligence is based on home repair, right? How can I button my house up to make it safe? In a cancer situation, when you're leaving, what do I need to do medically that I don't know how to do? I'm not a nurse, far from it.
Yeah.
So there's all those things that in the situation, as you determine more and you learn more, you're going to have to adapt with it. And I think that's something that's important. The resiliency, I think, is what I grabs me the most out of that whole thing.
Oh, for sure.
Is just the fact of don't give up.
You know? And I've heard a lot of that tonight from you. I mean, yeah. And then just so that last point is just being efficient with it all.
Exactly. And understand, again, that the better you are at all of it, you're going to be more efficient. Listen to everything like your doctors say in that situation, or the whole don't give up thing and all that. And again, fight. That's what it is at the end of the day. I learned that. It's a fight.
Yeah.
And you've heard the words, and we've all heard it, F cancer, it's true.
Yeah.
I never thought it would hit my life. And now that it has, it's changed my life, but I'm not going to let it define me.
Yeah, like, why give up? I mean, if you're still breathing.
Yeah.
I mean, but I've never been in that situation, so, I mean, that's it. Did you ever have those moments of just wanting to give up? Like, I've asked you that before, throwing in the towel and whatnot, but I think mean, could you ever feel it coming on at times?
Early on in the hospital.
Yeah.
When you go into that differentiation syndrome and the doctors tell you that it's not good, that, hey, you're in a bad spot right now. Mm-hmm. we're going to see what the medication does. And if it doesn't do this, then we have to do this. And it's like,
just wears you out,
okay,
probably.
What do I do? And then, they came in at one point and they told me, you don't even get out of your bed. Because I was trying to walk the halls, walk the halls, get out of my room, kind of keep your mind off of it. The fact that you're in a hospital in a nightgown.
Yeah.
And then they tell you, hey, you need to just stay in your bed. Don't get out. Those are the moments when you're at your all-time low.
And what would you do?
There, watch TV. Really, that's all you have.
When you got to the down in those lower moments, what would you do? That's what you would do.
Turn the TV
call
on.
Your wife and
I would, but even then, you get to a point, I think we all do, where you want to be kind of by yourself.
Yeah, and she probably just doesn't fully understand it.
Or she'd be at work. She's at work during the day, and so you just turn on the TV and you close your doors, you turn the lights off, and you go to sleep.
Yeah,
and you hope that while your sleep time passes. To be honest, that when you wake up, your white count's down is what I kept going through my mind. If I wake, I take the medicine the doctors are telling me I'm gonna wake up, my white count's gonna be down, and it goes up.
Yeah.
So you just,
ultimately it's you in this battle,
and you're in the room by yourself, and you're gonna. It sounds funny, but you sit there and you just pray. You just constantly, what do I need? You have those moments. I'll give up anything. I'll give up cheeseburgers, man. But no, you do. You're begging in some degree. You're praying. Can you just bring my white count down?
Yeah.
And the other thing, I had a picture of my kid on the wall or on the little shelf in the room. I set it at the opposite end of my bed, so every day I had to look at that.
Yeah.
And I kept telling myself, I'm going home to that. I'm gonna watch him grow up.
It's awesome.
So there's that. You're going to get into low situations. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've continued to say, it's how you react. It's what Rocky said it in the one movie. It's not how hard you get hit or whatever. It's how many times you can get up from getting hit.
How hard you can get hit.
Yeah. And keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Rocky may be cheesy and I love it, but there's a lot
of you can take something from it.
Yeah, there's a lot of positivity in that message. And I would say that a lot of that can relate to a lot of people's lives is just keep moving forward during it all.
Yeah.
There's so much out there to still obtain and be a part of. Don't let one moment define you as a human being.
It's awesome. That's powerful. Shoot, we can about end it on that. Does anybody else got anything? You?
No, man. I definitely appreciate the time to come in.
Yeah.
Not a problem at all. Appreciate you guys having me on.
It was awesome. You got anything else?
I think I'm good.
This is you, man.
I'm good. I appreciate it.
No,
like I said, if it helps one person, it's to me, it's done everything it needs to do. Yeah. That's
yeah. Yeah, but hearing it from you, the one that's going through it is what that's the goal. Just
yeah. Like I said, if anybody needs help, it's there. You just got to ask for it, and it's hard to ask for help, but ask for it. I think that's the biggest thing that. I had so many people reach out to me throughout this process that I haven't talked to in, years or months or whatnot. And, it's satisfying is not the right word, but it's humbling to have that support from people that you haven't talked to, in a while, or people you don't even know. One of my wife's college teammates' dad had leukemia. And he was texting me while I was in the hospital, and he's walking me through all this.
Yeah.
You know how big of a support that was? I don't even know the man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Never met him, never shook his hand, nothing.
Jeez.
Just know him through text message. But it was the time, at times, that glimpse of light or whatever you want to call it, that he's like, listen, I was diagnosed. I've been leukemia-free for 25 years. I watched both my girls grow up. It's what I needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At times. So little things like that.
Well, hopefully this hits whoever needs it right now. So,
yep,
I really appreciate it, AJ. If you ain't got anything else, that's about all.
I'm good. I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Of course, man.
Yeah, absolutely.